I want to share with you today my Christmas styled strudel recipe. Do you know what? In the shops, it's awash at the moment with so many desserts and puddings for Christmas, but they actually come with some quite eye-watering prices. But with some puff pastry, some mincemeat and a few little extras, you are going to make the most amazing Christmas pudding and dessert. And it's far simpler than you've possibly imagined. So first thing is first, get your oven on. Preheat to around about 180 degrees fan. And then you'll see here that I've got a baking tray and I've popped some parchment paper on. The great thing about this is there's little mess and it's pretty quick. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be working upon the tray rather than doing it on a surface and then trying to move it, because it can be a tricky beast when you work that way around. So get your tray ready with some baking parchment on top. This is a great way of using ready rolled pastry. So just lift it off, then place upon your tray. Don't worry if it's overhanging the edges a little bit, because everything's going to be tucked in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a knife and I'm going to put some diagonal slashes, almost like a third of the way in on one side, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. You'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. What you want to do is you just want to place some of the mincemeat into the centre part. You can see we've done the cuts either side of the ready rolled pastry. The next thing I like to do is get some chopped apple, and I like to just pop this into the centre. Now, pear also works beautifully with this as well. You know, I said about adding some extras. We're going to be doing that with my topping, especially when it's been baked. But I've been doing some baking and I had just a few of these dried cranberries left, and I do hate food waste. So we're going to be sticking those in. In that goes. Now next, this is the simple bit. Now I want you to start from sort of this section first. I'm going to do the folding in at the end. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take one section and sort of cross it over, then move over to the other side and cross it over to the other side, cross it over. You could make the lattices even sort of thinner if you wanted, but I've got a plan for the next part for my topping on top. Now you'll see this end bit here. What you're just going to do is fold that over like that, and then I just sort of take a cutting at the end and just sort of tuck it around. Maybe just take a little bit more off there at the end and just tuck it under so that it's neat. Fold that top bit over and tuck it under. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just take a little bit of milk and we're going to brush this over the pastry. I'm not going to be too fussy with this today because I am going to be doing some topping. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just pop it in the oven for around about 25 to 30 minutes. This does vary as to which brand of pastry you get, the more buttery content that's in it, so just keep an eye on it. So anywhere between 25 and 30 minutes. So just leave it on this baking tray and on the parchment paper because it's going to get a little bit messy here. First off, what I've got here is some marmalade. Actually, you could use apricot jam, and I got a tablespoon of it and I just popped in a teaspoon of really hot water from the kettle, and as you can see, it just loosens it. Now what this does is it gives that beautiful glaze. So all we're going to do is we're just going to brush that all over the top. But I actually quite like marmalade rather than the apricot jam, to be honest with you, because it just gives a nice little tang to it. There we go. So we just brush that liberally over. Also makes it really glossy. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So The next step is I've got some flaked almonds here. Again, I was doing some sort of Christmas baking and I had quite a little bit of this left over. Not enough to sort of, pop away and do anything really useful with. And that's when I thought, that'll go perfect with the strudel. Then I've got 125 grams of icing sugar. And if I just move this tray to one side for 1 second, I want to add in 1 tablespoon, that's 15 mils of water. In that goes. And then I'm going to do my absolute best to not make a mess. Then I want to add just about half a teaspoon now. It's starting to get there. If you put too much in all in one go, you can get it too runny. So I would rather just work on the principle of doing a little bit at a time, and then the final half a tablespoon. So it's around about 2 tablespoons in total, but just do it a bit at a time and mix it in. Always works better that way for some reason. As you can see, it's just starting to get that dribbly, loose consistency. You put too much in and it's not gonna work as well. There we go, that's what we want. This is for the fun, messy part, so I grab it sort of around there and I just let it drizzle over. Go for a bit more, I think. That's why it's good to just have that bit of baking paper on, because then it really doesn't matter the mess that you make. Now the other thing that I had spare after I was doing a bit of Christmas baking was some glacé cherries. I could have put these inside the strudel, but again, I have a very fussy husband, as if many of you follow me, you will know that what he likes and what he doesn't like. One thing he doesn't like is cherries. So we have a compromise. We pop them on top of things so that he can take them off and pass them to me, who does like them. So let's pop these on top, but you could have put them inside had you wished. So there we go. We're just going to stick these just on the top. I do actually think it makes it look so pretty when you've got the cherries on top. I just think it looks so nice when it's just got that little tiny bit of powdered sugar, the old icing sugar over the top. And don't forget as well, with that drizzly icing, you could even alter that. You could put, instead of 2 tablespoons of water, you could use even lemon juice and have it lemony on top, but I think that looks pretty beautiful. The other thing I like to do is just to take the ends off, especially if it's for like a dinner party or something, because it just makes it look prettier. But don't worry, I usually eat those ends before the guests get any. I just loosen it along and then pop it onto a nice plate.
Now, if you don't want to forget where you found this recipe, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, where also you will find a link to my website where you can find the written recipe and nutritional fact sheet. It's all on www.cookingwithemily.co.uk.